Okay, now you're working. Um, Sweet. Y- Yes, I mean that's exactly what I expect. So again, brief roadmap. We're gonna talk about what's happening right now. Then we're gonna get into what being. I think we've had this conversation before, Spencer, but I think it bears repeating. What being an ally means, especially now that things are happening and I need to put something on that doesn't have my works or just do this there. Um, what being an ally means, and then we'll get into like intersectionality between uh, the struggles and things of the Black community and the uh, the autistic community. We've talked about that before as well, and kind of some of the parallels and what you guys think um, are kind of important distinctions to uh, together, or what you have learned as this whole thing has gone on. Then a little bit of news stuff. I may do move that to the front because it may start conversations. I saw that like Starbucks decided that like none of their employees can wear BLM stuff, which I don't necessarily have a problem with. It's a business, and you do things as a business, but at the same time, I'm also like, I don't care. I don't care. Right. And then talking about like, you know, do a little bit of J.K. Rowling bashing. Not really bashing, just talking about it. Well, that and then NASCAR banning Confederate flags because I think it's a huge gesture that means absolutely nothing. Um, NASCAR. Oh no, the dude that retired because he can't have his. The, well, anybody can retire from a job. Um, I mean, Spencer, we don't have to take use this time to talk about your giant penis anymore. Yeah. I mean, listen, just as a note, this is going on the Patreon side of the podcast. I will not put it on the like YouTube side because they will all just ask about your giant penis. Listen, OnlyFans I mean, if you get an OnlyFans, I'm sure you'll get a subscriber or two. That's right. Like, if you get an OnlyFans, nobody cares about those two things. So, we will get st- we will get started in five, four, three, two. Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of KC Caffeine. This is the Pride edition, only because it's Pride Month, and it's fine. I have two straight dudes to talk about stuff, but it's fine. Um, oh well, I mean it depends on what role you like to play. It's not a, I mean I wasn't gonna like out Ryan's sexuality if he wasn't going to talk about it. Well, I mean, I everyone knows that I'm gay. Okay, well, all right. So there, fine, cool. How brave of you, Ryan, to come out on my podcast. You know. So anyway, we're gonna start this episode with some introductions. You've heard one of these voices before. He has his own podcast. He is um, loud and outspoken and one of my favorite people in the world. Spencer, how are you? If you don't know, Spencer is the number one podcast fan, and I love him for it. Um, and then, huh? Right, hype it up. He does a better job at hyping it up than I do sometimes. And then also on our other corner, we have my man Crush Monday, my newest friend, one Mr. Ryan. How are you? Yeah, I didn't want to out you on the show. I felt like I mean I probably shouldn't have said to you straight man, but I mentioned the pride, and so I was like, I didn't want them to be like people to be like, oh, all of these people are you know are in the community when we know that at least one of us is just an ally, is an ally, not just an ally. Being an ally is important. Um, you know, I do my best. I do my best. So actually, actually wanted to have the two of you on this episode because with everything that was going on in the country, I thought that it was important that like although this show is super black, like blackety black 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 black, that it is important that we have discussions about race relations, and things that are going on, and uh, have those conversations with whites. Maybe figure out things that you've learned over the last couple of weeks, or maybe things that you've always known but have been kind of highlighted in the last couple of weeks. We have uh, been we've all kind of been talking in our super secret you'll never get in group, um, but yeah, and so I kind of have an idea of how you guys are feeling about things, but how are you feeling right now? Yep, go for it. Okay. So once again, Spencer comes in and kicks the door in. Like just sweet. We have to talk about your love for yo-yos at some point. What about you, Ryan? Right. Like and that can be that's something that like we all have to kind of wrestle with is like there are other we've got this pandemic, we've got this thing where people are dying and it's really and people are sick and we're supposed to be continuing to social distance, and I think we've also kind of gotten to a point where we are distant fatigued, where we're kind of starved for um, the interaction and the social interaction with our friends and our loved ones. Like for example, Ryan and I have never met face to face, although we talk pretty much every day, in our group. Yeah, that you can't be a part of. Sorry, I don't know what to tell you. Um, but I've gone and we've talked about this. I feel like I've gotten closer. We as a the whole group of us feel like we kind of went through the friend course at like breakneck speed, because we all went through this thing that was super scary and lots of questions and kind of emotionally bonded, um, which was good. But now it's like, okay, now I want to see these people, face to face. I want to be able to like give hugs and love on my friends. And I still feel like we're not at a point where that's something that we can do. And the thing that's scary about it is there's a reality that there may never be a time for us to do that again. You know what I mean? Like it not anytime soon. Let me not say never, but like not anytime soon. And right, you know what I'm saying? And so it's I can see and I can understand why there are people who are pushing against it, or pushing against the social distancing because it is, you know, we were just saying it'll be 3 months since all of this kind of came to a head on the 17th, and the only reason I know that for sure is because I was in Vegas when it all went down. And so it's tough. It's tough to think that it's been that long. Since I've seen people that I care about, and um, for health reasons, because I care about their health and I care about their safety. But at the same time, we also have this huge kind of wave of, in my opinion, you know, well overdue protests, you know, well overdue, you know, we're having a discussion that is well overdue, and how to rectify kind of the original sin of the country. And, it's as, as the white guys, you guys are kind of at the height of the privilege scale, you know, as far as like visually, let me say it that way. You guys have your own struggles, both of you, with autism, and we'll get there. Um, right, but I think policing is really the tip of the iceberg. And what I'm hoping comes from this is that, we start to really have the deep discussions about, okay, what is there a what are the differences? What are things that we can rectify? What are things that we can do in our lifetime? Be it governmental programs, that ugly word reparations, um, that people are afraid of, and and how do we address housing? How do we address education? How do we address um, workplace uh, issues? How do we kind of close the gap on a lot of these issues? I hope it doesn't stop with policing. Policing is a big part of it, because it kind of can weave its way into all of the other kind of things. But um, it's there was something hardening when I went down to one of to the protests. I felt like I kind of had to. I felt like I was being a keyboard warrior for far too long, and it was time for me to put up or shut up, essentially. And um, I completely understand those who didn't, especially people of color, and by people of color I mean black people who were like, you know what, just living every day is a fucking protest, just getting up and getting out of bed and doing the things I'm supposed to do is my form of protest. So I'm not going down there and making, you know, what could be, dangerous, situations to prove a point. I just felt like for me it was a moment, it was time, and um, being down there is really interesting. It's an interesting experience. I've never protested anything before because, quite frankly, generally I don't give a shit about stuff. Um, I'm just like, oh, that sucks. But being down there and being among all of that anger, because it was palpable. It was very like, oh, you know, seeing, you know, this emotion of just like a rage that was kind of wafting over the crowd, and then seeing the police kind of standing there every they were practicing their social distancing. um, all of them, none of them had masks on, but all of them had. They were 6 feet apart, and then there were drones, and there was like shooters on the rooftop of the plaza. It was. It looked like something that you would see in like a foreign country. Um, and I kept thinking, yeah, it's very much a war zone. It was very, um, it was scary. Like, and I'm not saying that the protests themselves were scary. Seeing that kind of force, you know, was scary, and the idea of you know the property behind the police was more important than the people in front. Yeah, and I've been in a bunch of different discussions slash arguments about rioting and looting and all of that stuff, and I've said I don't condone it, but I get it. um, and you know property can be replaced. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, some you can file an insurance claim and get your glass fixed, but George Floyd is dead, and he's never coming back. You know what I mean? And Breonna Taylor is dead, and she's never coming back. And if breaking a few windows and getting a, a target getting tore up is the worst that happens for those, the balance is not equal. And so, as my Caucasian brethren, what are your thoughts on kind of the allyship because for at first I was very kind of heartened to see all of the all of these white people out and marching and protesting and they're screaming Black Lives Matter and I was like cool, like this is a thing that's awesome. But then I'm kind of realizing as time is going on that like that they're the loudest voices in the room. uh, right. Right. Yeah. Yes. They're gonna blow you up. Like they're just gonna blow you out of the sky. Uh, right. Well, and I think you brought up a really good point. Ryan, I'm going to get back to you in a second, but I want to kind of I want to kind of stay with this point. Is you said that we can't do it without white people, and I think that that is absolute. I think that's absolutely true, and I'm going to take it a step further. Uh, White people have to do it. I'm gonna pause you to side note one thing for a second, and black people are undefeated. I don't know if you guys saw this, but um, there's a show on IFC called Sherman Showcase, and um, I there's a video that someone did. It's a music video for a song called "Add Some Kente," and it is on my Facebook. It is on my Facebook. It is a fully produced, like, they're just, it's amazing. And it like could not have been more, you know, timely. You would think that this was like produced months ago, but no, apparently they did it the same day the Democrats did that kneel. And it's basically like, you want to show that you're an ally? Just add some kente to whatever you're wearing. Uh, th- yeah, I would have even been fine with them wearing the kente cloth. Like I would have had no issues. We didn't need to do. I didn't need the performative art of the kneeling. If they were like, we've got we're wearing this in solidarity, blah blah blah. I would have side eyed it and kept it much pushing. I didn't need you to kneel. Like I didn't need the do a job. Like if you do you want to show me that you really give a shit about Black lives, go in there and pass some fucking legislation. Like you know I mean, you just slap him just cause. But I brought that up to Franklin the damn turtle. Um, but I brought up that song to show my favorite line of the entire song is even if you don't love the black man, add some kente and be the Kente Klux Klan. It's I was like, wow. It's like and the thing like it's a line that's it's done in jest and in sing song, and then you think and you're like, jeez, that actually is that's a deep cut. Like, yeah, right. No, picked up on it. Picked up on it. Like, and that's kind of a. Let me start by saying that I love white people. Clearly, um, I love all people. Yeah, shut it up. This isn't the kind of podcast. We're not talking. This isn't. This isn't the subject of today. We can make it the subject of the day, but we're talking important shit. So, but I think that all too often, I find that um, white liberals tend to get angry about things that, like, your action doesn't match your voice. I guess is the best way to say it. Like, you are you're screaming and yelling from the rooftops, on Facebook, but you don't check your racist uncle, and you don't you will sit back and one of your friends tells a racist joke, you know and you're like, oh, it's funny. It's the reason, like, I don't, as a note, I don't play Cards Against Humanity, period. Part of the reasons why I don't do it is because it has caused me to have some really uncomfortable conversations with people that I care about. And rather than having those conversations, I just choose not to play. And I used to fucking love that game. I used to think it was the funniest thing ever. But what I realized is that you really kind of get where some people's heads are playing that game. If you look at it like a psych experiment, it's like, oh, here's what you really think. You just think it's funny, and it's a joke, and we're playing a game, and blah blah blah. But, like, no, there's some truth behind some of the things you know that you say. You say it in jest, but and so I said, okay, I'm not playing that game anymore. Like, there's games similar, like Joking Hazard or all of that stuff. Those I don't have an issue with, but there's something about the intent behind Cards Against Humanity that just makes my skin itch now. Nobody asked for you, McAfee. Sit down. Sorry about that, guys. I mean, yes, it's its company. Oh, former company. Listen, I mean, this is not the episode for that. We can talk about we can talk about John McAfee's predilections when we talk about, you know, we can. Yes, yeah, I mean, it's you better preach. You better preach. Um, well, and I think that well, I think that there's something there. There's some there for is my one of my favorite phrases. That there's a lot of shouting kind of into this void. And at the end of the day, the questions we should be asking are, you know, what can we do to make it better? You know what I mean? What can we as as the people with power? What can we as whites in this society where we know that our word holds more weight, our actions carry more weight? What can we do to make your life better? And um, I kind of want to get into, kind of segue into one more thing on this, and then I want to move into intersectionality. I posted a thing yesterday about, you guys all saw it, about reparations. And I noticed the thing, like, I had been posting all day about different stuff. And then I posted that one, like, it was something from a friend, and it mentioned reparations and kind of this plan. And, like, none of the people who have been liking all of the stuff that I had posted, like they didn't let no one liked that. I didn't get the nearly the engagement. And so I posted, I was like, oh, so y'all rocking with me until I mentioned reparations though. You know what I mean? And in my mind, regardless of how, where you guys, I don't care. I don't care where you stand on it. There's a debt owed to black people in this country. And that is not just black people who, are descendants of slaves. Even if you immigrated into this country in the last 50 to 60 years, there is a debt owed to you because not only did you have slavery, but you have Jim Crow and you have the effects of Jim Crow. And the after effects of Jim Crow are things that we are still dealing with in 2020. And so, if this were if we were suing a person for damages, there would also be pain and suffering. What would the pain and suffering be? And I said in my original comment or my original post, I said I will Planet Fitness $10 from 5 years ago. They are still calling me about $10. So no, this is a thing that we need to. Um, I don't know the best way to articulate it to um, to to the whites because usually they're like, well, my tax dollars didn't, you know, I I didn't own slaves. No, you didn't, but you but you benefit from a society that is built on the backs of these people and built on the back of this work. And regardless of whether or not, when we say that you have white privilege, we don't mean that your life is easy. We mean that your life is not hard because of the color of your skin. right? But here's the thing. But in terms of reparations, it's not I'm not going to get anything, but you will. It's I'm not going to get anything, but you already did. Yep. Wow. Listen. Wait. Can we for those who are listening on this on the audio? Um, I feel like Ryan just like said something, dropped the mic, and walked off. Mike Ryan just wow. I was like Ryan just mic dropped us. That was amazing. Yes. Yep. That's me doing the church dance. Listen, Ryan's out here preaching a word. Um, like, get him a prayer cloth and pass the donation plate because, whew. I mean, Spencer, you doing what you do. You're kicking the door in. You know what I'm saying? Like, I expected this from you. I was not expecting for Ryan to come in here and just smack motherfuckers in the face and say, you know, here it is. Ryan just put his dick on the table, and I'm here for it. He put his dick in a different way. Sorry. I thought he was still talking about his dick. I'm sorry. Yeah. It's not even a matter like it's right. Well, and also, but also it comes. This is I don't know if you guys watched John Oliver. Um, I not only did I watch that episode, but I actually found the full clip of that young woman who was speaking at the end. And it is there are two things from that struck me to my core. And one of them was, you know, these people don't care about, you know, the things in this community because they don't own anything. You know what I mean? Like they don't own anything. When you don't have ownership of the community that you're in, you don't care whether or not this person has this or whether or not, all you care about is, well, I can feed my kids. So if I can feed my kids, if I have to take from you to do that, cool. We glamorize having these things that these people can't have. You know what I mean? Like we glamorize the cars and the money and the shoes and this. That's what's pushed in, in their faces, but they can't afford that stuff. So yeah, the first opportunity they can go get to get it, they're gonna get it. And does that make it right? Nah, but I get it. You know what I mean? And then the second thing that she said, which I think really kind of struck at the heart of anybody who watched it, was, you better be lucky that black people are only asking for equality and not revenge. You know, and right, 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 and the way she broke down kind of the last 400 years, in more than that actually, in terms of a Monopoly game, like it was easy enough for anybody to understand, and it's what what made it for me so I watched it with my partner, and then afterwards I didn't say anything for it. I was like, okay, you know, because although like this is my lived experience, I this is and like I knew everything that she was saying. I'd never seen it put in a way that I was like I wish that I had thought about it in those terms. I wish I could have said it in those terms and had, you know, the prescience of mind to get, and then watching her like go from calm, you know what I mean? Like, and, just to like the rage towards the end. It's like, if this doesn't move you, nothing will. And, when I pull it back into kind of the reparations conversation, if you're looking at, you know, the banker, you know, at the banker and players, at this point, those players are owed that money. You know what I mean? Like it is owed. And if we want to talk about being, equal protection under the law, equal justice, we are all equal, then, you know, you have to look at the history of housing and, and understand how equity works, and understand that that's something that black people have been out of the market for. We're just now getting in the market, and there's never been pulling up, no one's ever pulled themselves up by their bootstraps. It's an oxymoron. You can't do it. You know what I mean? Like you have means, and it's no, you didn't. You didn't. You hide you that you didn't build that. Yep, absolutely right. And that's the thing. Yeah, yeah. Did you get that? Like, and I remember having like full on like rage arguments with people who were like who I were friends who were like who what's interesting is now they're like they get it. It's like all of a sudden the light bulb went off, you know. And I want to be like, welcome to the party. We've been here. You know what I mean? Like, I'm glad you finally get it. But you know, when they were just like, no, you know, you can. I'm tired of people saying that like there's you know that we live in a racist society because I have black friends and blah blah blah. And I'm like, well, if you have black friends, you really have black friends, then like they would have told you, shit sucks out here for us, yo. Like, you know what I mean? Like you might have black associates, but like I here here's the reason. And Ryan, I feel like you got a word coming, and I'm gonna let you get it, but I want to get this out. Because privilege is the ability to not know what you don't know. You know, you one of my I had a conversation. My company did a um, put out a statement about Black Lives Matter and all that stuff, and it's great. But in one of the meetings, our CEO said that he needed to learn and educate himself more and stuff. And some of my fellow Black employees is like, what does he need to educate himself on? Like this, and I said, you live this every day. You know, we live this life. We are Black all day long. We don't have any other choice. You know, but when you have privilege, you don't have to know what you don't know. And it is easy for you to say, I don't have anything to do with that. I don't know that stuff. And you can ignore it. And until something happens and you're like, oh, okay, now I get it. The problem that I have with that isn't that you didn't see it before, it's that you chose not to see it before. You know, if someone is telling you, hey, that building is on fire, and you're like, building's not on fire. Like, no, no, it's on fire. You turn around and look. It's still on fire. It's not on fire. Stop saying the building's on fire. You just want like no, the building's actually on fucking fire. And you know there are people in certain circles who, if you don't have people of color, especially black people in your circle, then you don't have to know what the black experience is like. You know, and so yeah, you can kind of get a pass for a time. You know, you can't just be ignorant forever. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna let you be dumb all your life. Uh, but so let's talk a little bit about kind of intersectionality. Both of you, if you don't mind me saying, both of you are autistic, and you both have you have your own struggles with uh, how do we what do you, neurotypical individuals, and uh, let's talk about some of those kind of some of the things, the discrimination that you guys face, because I know that we've had plenty of conversations where you deal with your parents saying things and corporations having their hands in the autistic bucket for lack of a better term, and you know we talked at one point, and he said, the thing is, it's what's interesting about it is that like, you know, so to be black and autistic would be, you know, something else completely. You know what I mean? And so let's kind of talk about that. I don't have much to go on because I'm, still learning things, but that's what I have the gurus here for. Really? Wait, let's back up there a little bit because yeah, because I didn't know that that was not something that you guys chose. Yeah, I didn't even like real talk. I didn't even catch that. Like, I'm gonna be 100%. That's not even a thing. Like, I'm sorry, because I was like the the shade that just covered this entire like. Here's what happened, guys. I just want y'all to know that what this is as he spoke this his words. Hold on, please. I need to find it because, yep, here it is. I need to make sure that I get you guys an accurate representation of what happened in here. Um, yep, testing one, two, three. Here we go. This was Spencer. Like, y'all see the cloud? Just came over the whole thing. Right. I was like, now that I'm like, okay, keep going. I just thought it was funny that I had I did the point like this one right here. Yeah. See, I was gonna let it go. I was gonna let it go. I was like, you know what? We're already in an hour. We can. I was gonna let it go, but no, we're not gonna skip that part because I have words. I have a couple of things, but no. Um, yeah, like I was gonna say, or people who don't recognize or understand where the discrimination is coming from. Right. Well, and I was going to ask, that was going to be my next question, or two more questions, and then uh, we can move to the next topic. But one, and I think this is a big one because you mentioned, I've known, like I said, Spencer, I've known you for a couple of years, Ryan, I've known you for a couple of months. We've not met face to face, but like, if I didn't know you, and I don't mean this to come off any way, like I don't, but if I didn't know you, I would have never thought that you were autistic. And so I don't like, and maybe because I'm just not seeing the cues or things, like maybe I just miss them. Um, but, I just see you as like my friends. You know what I mean? And I don't want to do the thing that I hate that when other people do to me and be like, "Oh, I'm colorblind." I hate that. I think it's stupid. But it's literally I maybe I just don't know enough, about the spectrum to say, oh, I can look at this person and be like, okay, they're autistic. You know what I mean? Right. Right. Then you just getting sensory overload. Okay, so here's I mean, so here's the thing, and this is going to lead me into my second question. I have a statement now and a question. Statement: If you we are in a social setting, and you were like, "I'm having sensory overload," or "I can't do this," tell me. You know what I mean? Because I want to learn these, these things. I want to learn kind of a how to be a because I feel like that makes me a better friend. It means that I know you. I'm learning who you are. I don't want to know the mask. You know what I mean? Like I want to know the person. And that leads me to my second question, and which is how do I become a better ally? Because basically the theme of this episode is allyship. And I know that you don't like the term ally, but there isn't a better term. Um, you know, yeah, that says a lot about um, the the that organization. I don't know that organization from Adam, so I don't. So I'm not gonna put personal feelings in that. But I think that you know again, people have asked me, what do we do to be, a better ally to the black community? And I'm like, and I always say, like, listen. If you listen more than you speak, and take things to heart, you know what I mean, and then take action. And I feel like kind of that really it doesn't matter what your your struggle is, and I wouldn't even call being black or being black is a struggle sometimes. Let's keep it real, but it doesn't matter what your lot in life is or what you have going for you. If you listen more than you speak, then I think we can all be better allies to each other. You know, um, even from the standpoint of being black, being LGBT, all of those things. If we're listening and we're like, hey, I actually want to know who you are. I want to be your friend. I want to, find out your story. And, then I don't know. I'm just rambling. So J.K. Rowling is, yep, yep. Go ahead. Right. Yeah. This, I'm just gonna title this episode "White People Are Terrible" by two whites. Two whites. It's two whites talking about how terrible white people are. So there is here's and I'm gonna I'm gonna lens out a little bit from just J.K. Rowling and her bullshit, and I'm gonna talk about people who have a tendency to say things, get corrected, attempt to apologize, and then say them again. Because I am so damn tired. I mean, past tired, exhausted. As the old folks say, I'm tired of having to explain to people time and time again this thing that you said is dumb. Here is why this thing that you said is dumb. And you continue to say not the same dumb thing, maybe, but similar dumb things. For example, for this week, J.K. Rowling. Nobody told her to get her gnarled fingers onto the Twitter. And here is the thing. Like, here's my thing. The article that she was referencing specifically says menstruating people. The reason that it said menstruating people because there are women who are cisgendered women who do not menstruate. There's menopause. You could be there are myriad of different reasons why they wouldn't menstruate. There's a whole lot of shit that for and so for her to be like, I don't know, we used to have a name for these things. I think we used to call them women. Like, um, so you're saying that those people who don't menstruate for whatever reason that is, they're not women? Like, that's essentially what you're saying. Like that's and so for people to point like we shouldn't have to point this shit out to y'all. You know what I mean? Like we just shouldn't. Like it's sometimes I I I propose that if you want to compose a tweet, what you should do is find one person that will tell you when something that you say is going to be dumb. Tweet that person. Put it in send in a text message. If they say, you know what, this sounds good to go, put it out. At least you can say you got it verified by somebody else. Don't just tweet what your thoughts are. I have three Twitters. Somebody has jumped into the chat. Who are you? Oh, Linda Blue's here. Hi, Linda Blue. She can't hear us. Okay. I saw that. That eye roll was iconic. I want to give her that. Okay, let me just say this, and this is gonna get real vulgar and real crass. I just want you to. I don't listen. Everybody, if you are not, if you don't love your, how do I put this? I'm trying to. That's the dumbest motherfucking thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Because Spencer, do you love your genitals? Ryan, do you love your genitals? Like, I'm not going to. I just I can't imagine if even if I did all of the research, like if I literally did like just had a library full of gender dysphoria studies, I'm gonna be like, you know what? I love my genitals the way that they are, but I'm gonna go ahead and just change them up because I'm having a bad day today, a little overwhelmed with life. So, and this if this sounds at all offensive to the autistic community, I apologize. But I just don't. I don't understand the sheer stupidity of that statement. Like, like, like. That's what I'm saying. Like, I can't imagine even if because sometimes there are days when I think maybe I should go get tested. Like, I'm an adult. What the fuck you gonna do about it? Not a damn thing. But sometimes I think that. Yeah. But even then, I love my junk. Like, sometimes I just look at it in the mirror and be like, look at that. Right. Quite frankly, I think, I think that, like, if I'm being 100% honest, I think that autism is way underreported as opposed to being overreported. I think that there is, I liken it to the 10% argument. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this before, but there used to be this argument that like 10% of the population is gay. I would say that if we're talking about sexuality being a spectrum, the same way that we're talking about, you know, autism being a spectrum, then I say that the number is probably higher than that. But there's no way to accurately test. I mean, there is for autism. I think there is, right? Yes, kind of. Right. right. For right. And so, but I think that there is a higher number if we're looking at it as a spectrum than like the 10% that they say, because it's a lot of you closeted people out here just slinging dicks and vaginas all over the place like we don't see it. But it's I digress. Yeah, like one just like on this episode. I mean, he didn't really come out. Oh, did he come out? I mean, he's getting outed. I mean, he's being tens of people were shocked about that. Like literally. Listen, when I tell you, Ryan's out here preaching words. From an Audi to an Innie, or an Innie to an Audi. So back, did the way that we just drove off of J.K. Rowling. Well, so here's the thing. Here's yes. Well, here was my issue with um, her assertion, her reasoning behind her dumbass tweet. Like I'm just gonna call it what it is. It was dumb. You dumb dummy. You had the nerve to give us this beautiful world that we all want to live in and be this stupid. Anyway, um, but you it was the assertion that um, taking away sex, the two sexes, invalidates women. Why does what someone else do invalidate you? If I was a woman, it don't matter what Joe Blow down the street is gonna do. I would still be a woman, and my experiences would still be valid. You know what I mean? Like, are you so is your womanhood so frail that someone else saying, you know what, I may not be biologically a woman, but I feel like I am a woman, neurologically, and I would like to take steps to make myself, my outsides feel like look like my insides feel. that part. That preaching words out here. But the other but to end that portion, um, fuck Terry Crews as well. Um, moving on. Moving on. So in news that means absolutely nothing to anyone, um, the NASCAR decided to ban their the use of Confederate flags at their events, and I feel like while a noble gesture, um, it's not enforceable. And are you gonna? And it's not like you're gonna stop your drivers from using the N word, and or your fans from being racist, and or having more than one black driver, um, who, yeah, like I'm gonna need to see more. I mean, I do want to see a gay national car driver because I do want a car that's called like the Roaring Rainbow. Like I would love it. Oh, but Jeff Gordon was gross. Yeah. Can we park here for a second? Let's park here for a second. Um, Something that you just said, like struck some. Dear white people, more specifically, dear white people from the South, more specifically, dear white people from the South who love their Confederate flag. Two things. Number one, nobody likes a loser. Nobody likes a loser. You have allowed the Dukes of Hazzard to convince you that the Confederate flag is the sign of a real Southern good old boy. Um, Shut up. It's a loser. You lost. Number two, and then this will segue into. I'm gonna get back to what you. We're gonna talk about NASCAR and all of that stuff, but it just all ties in together. Um, that flag that you are like it's heritage, not hate, wasn't used until the '60s as a protest against the civil rights movement. So no, that flag is absolutely hate. That's exactly what it is. It is the same reason why all of these Confederate statues are up. They've not been up since the fucking Civil War. They came up as a response to the civil rights movement. It was, we're going to remind you niggers of your place. So, calm down. Nobody cares about your feelings. Your flag is for losers. And we can go on. Sorry. So, you mean to tell me they want more diverse pit crews means shut up. Let me shut up. Let me keep it moving. Keep going. Right. You keep your Negroes out of my NASCAR. Sorry, that was loud. It's a pragmatic. I don't like being used as a political tool, but that's fine. If I'm going to be used as a tool, I'd like to be used as a different kind of tool, but it's an episode for another day. Ooh, I needed that. That was funny. As long, well, I mean, I will say that this NASCAR drivers are 95%. Well, the younger NASCAR drivers are 95% fine. So that's why I watch. I mean, Paul, my partner watches NASCAR, and yes, a gay man who watches NASCAR. I don't get it either, but I'll watch it when he's watching it, and I'll be like, that one I can see myself rooting for that one. He's kind of cute. I don't know what the fuck's happening. They're just turning in circles, as far as I'm concerned. So, communism at work is what you're saying. Nice. So we have found what gets Spencer going. And on that note, guys, this has been so much fun. Try to beat back. Try to beat back your pit stops there, sir. It's okay. Um, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much, Spencer. Once again, thank you for coming in and doing what you do, which is like shake the table early in the beginning. Like, just you just come in and just whatever with friendly, lovely conversation we thought we were gonna have. And we just you're not one to just ease into it. You just ram it right on in there and just says this is what we're doing. Um, yeah, next time, just like before you put your dick on the table, lube us up a little bit. But I love it. You know what I'm saying? I like it rough. So do you? Um, yeah. And Ryan, sir, pass the collection plate because you preached a word today. You preached a couple of words, and I appreciate you. Aw. And do not forget to follow us on all of the places. Literally, there is not a place that exists on the social media that we do not have a presence now. We have Facebook. We have it's KC Caffeine. We have Instagram at KC underscore caffeine. We have a Twitter, KC Caffeine. We have a YouTube channel where you're probably watching this right now. Um, we have a Patreon if you could give that you can give to if you feel so inclined. Don't forget to like us, subscribe to us on all of the things. If you have burning questions, you want to know what product Ryan uses in his hair to make it so luscious, um, you know, then you can email us at kccaffeine@gmail.com. Thank you to everybody who is listening, who's watching. Blue, we love you. Um, that's it, guys. Good night. Stay woke. How do I fix this? Wait, hold on.